When someone shames you in public, your first instinct is to explain yourself. You feel the heat rise in your chest. You feel the eyes on you. And without thinking, you start talking. You start defending. You start justifying why you did what you did, why you said what you said, why you are the way you are. And the moment you open your mouth, you lose. You lose because you accepted their frame. You stepped into their courtroom. You agreed to be judged. And now, no matter what you say, you are the defendant. They are the authority. They set the terms. They chose the battlefield. And you showed up ready to beg for acquittal. Let me give you 3 situations. See if any sound familiar. You are at work. You finish a project your way. It works. Results are there. But someone in the meeting says, loud enough for everyone to hear, that your approach was inefficient, maybe even careless. Everyone goes quiet. They look at you, and you immediately start explaining your process. You walk them through your reasoning. You justify every decision. You try to prove you were not careless. And by the end of it, you sound defensive. You sound uncertain. You sound like someone who needed permission and forgot to ask for it. Second situation. You are with friends. You decide your life. You may turn down an opportunity. You may choose to walk away from something that does not serve you. And one of them, half joking but not really, says you are running away, says you are scared, says you are not being realistic. And again, the room shifts. Eyes on you, and you start explaining. You defend your decision like it were on trial. You list your reasons. You try to make them see your logic, and the more you talk, the weaker you sound, because the person who has to explain has already lost the room. Third situation. Family dinner. Someone brings up your life, your choices, your direction, and they do it with concern. With love, they say, but it is wrapped in judgment. They say you are being selfish, or cold, or too rigid, or not grateful enough, and you feel it, that old wiring. The one installed when you were young. The one that says you owe them comfort, you owe them reassurance, you owe them proof that you are still the good, agreeable person they remember. So you explain, you soften, you justify, and you lose yourself in the process. Here is what all 3 situations have in common. You were not shamed for doing something wrong. You were shamed because someone wanted to reposition you. They wanted to test whether you still operate inside their system of judgment, whether you still need their approval, whether they still have leverage. And the moment you defended yourself, you answered. You said yes. Yes, I still need you to approve. Yes, I still fear your judgment. Yes, I am still controllable. Machiavelli understood this 5 centuries ago. He understood that shame is not about morality. It is about power. It is a tool, a test, a way to see if you will submit. And your response tells everyone in the room exactly where you stand, not what you believe, not what your values are, but whether you can be managed. Most people fail this test every single day, and they do not even know they are taking it. This video is about what Machiavelli would tell you to do when someone tries to shame you. Not how to win an argument, not how to prove yourself, but how to hold your frame so entirely that the attack collapses before it ever lands. I am going to walk you through several psychological reversals. Most of them will feel cold, some will feel cruel. That is how you know they are real. If it feels comfortable, it is probably keeping you weak. Most people will not finish this video. They will leave in the first few minutes because it will not sound like empowerment. It will not feel like growth. It will feel like isolation. And that is precisely the filter. The ones who stay are the ones ready to see the game clearly. If you stay, you separate from the herd. If you leave, you will continue to be managed by people who do not understand what you do. Put your phone face down and listen. If this hit you, write "I am the strategist" once in the comments, just to mark the day your mindset changed. Now, let me show you what most people do wrong. When someone shames you, your reflex is to care. You care what they think. You care how you look. You care whether they leave the interaction thinking less of you. That care is the hook. That is what they are fishing for. And the moment you bite, they reel you in. You think defending yourself is a strength. Explaining your reasoning is confidence. You think proving them wrong is a victory, but it is not. Every word you say in defense is a transfer of power. You are handing them your attention. You are handing them your attention. You are handing them your emotional real estate. You are handing them authority, and they did not earn it. You gave it. Here is the first shift. When someone shames you, they are not making a statement. They are making a bid for your reaction, a bid for your energy, a bid to see if they can pull you into their frame. And your job is not to win the argument. Your job is to refuse the bid entirely. Machiavelli said that the prince must appear moral, but he must never be enslaved by morality when power is at stake. That does not mean be evil. It means do not let other people's moral frameworks control you. Do not let someone else's shame language reposition you into their system of judgment, because that system was designed to manage you, not free you. Let me show you what refusal looks like in practice. Same work scenario. Someone says your approach was inefficient. Everyone looks at you. Here is what you do. Nothing. You do not explain. You do not defend. You pause. You let the silence sit. Then you say something like, noted, or I will keep that in mind. And then you move on. You do not ask for clarification. You do not invite discussion. You do not give them a platform to expand their attack. You acknowledge the sound they made, and you dismiss it with your body language, your tone, and your refusal to engage. What happens? The room feels it. They feel your refusal to step into the dock. They think your refusal to be judged, and suddenly, the person who tried to shame you looks like they are reaching. They look like they're trying too hard. They look like they care more about your position than you do, and that flips the frame. Now they are the ones chasing validation. You are the one unbothered. That is the power shift. You did not fight. You did not prove. You just refused to play. Here is the second shift. Most people think silence is weakness. They feel that if you do not defend yourself, people will believe the accusation. But that is only true if you have been operating from a weak frame all along. Suppose you have been trying to be liked. Suppose you have been trying to prove your value. Suppose you have been performing for approval. Then, yes, silence will be read as guilt. But if you have been operating from authority, silence is dominance. Silence says, I do not owe you an explanation. Silence says, your opinion is not my concern. Silence says, you are trying to pull me into a game I have already outgrown. Machiavelli knew this. He knew that the prince who constantly justifies himself looks weak. The prince who explains his decisions to everyone loses mystique, loses fear, loses respect. Because respect is not built on transparency, it is built on the boundary. It is built on the understanding that you do not owe access, you grant it, and you can revoke it. When you explain yourself to someone who shamed you, you are granting them access they did not earn. You are treating them like an authority, and the moment you do that, they become one, not because they deserve it, but because you acted as they do. Third shift. Let me tell you what really happens when you defend yourself. You think you are correcting a misunderstanding, but what you are actually doing is entering their evaluation system. You are agreeing to be graded. You are saying, you are right to question me. Let me show you why I am still acceptable. And here is the trap. Even if you win that argument, you lose. Because you are now someone who needs to win arguments to feel secure. You are now someone whose confidence is tied to other people's agreement. You are now operating inside a frame where your value is always up for debate. That is not power. That is performance. And performance is exhausting because you have to keep doing it. Every time someone questions you, you have to prove yourself again. Every time someone shames you, you have to defend yourself again. You become a reactor. and reactors are controlled. Machiavelli would say you have become predictable, and predictable people are used. Here is what you do instead. You let them question you. You let them shame you. You let the accusations sit in the air. And you do not move. You do not flinch. You do not explain. You hold your frame. And what happens is this. The accusation loses weight because it has nothing to land on. It is like throwing a punch at someone who is not there. The energy goes nowhere. The attack dissolves, and the person who tried to shame you is left holding their own judgment. They are the one who looks petty. They are the one who looks insecure, because they wanted to move you and you did not move. That is dominance. Fourth shift. You need to understand why people shame you in the first place. It is not random. It is not because you did something wrong. It is because you did something that threatened their sense of control. You could set a boundary. Maybe you decided without their input. You may have stopped performing the role they assigned you, and that creates discomfort in them. So they try to shame you back into position. They try to guilt you. They try to make you doubt yourself. Because if you doubt yourself, you will come back. You will soften. You will apologize. You will shrink, and they will feel safe again. But here is the reality. Their discomfort is not your responsibility. Their need for you to stay small is not your burden. Their desire to control your choices is not something you owe respect to. You do not have to be cruel, but you do not have to care either. Machiavelli said it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. And while that sounds harsh, what he really meant is this. It is better to hold your ground and be respected than to soften yourself into irrelevance in an effort to be liked. Because being liked is conditional. Being respected is structural. Respect does not require warmth. It requires a boundary. When someone shames you, they are testing your boundary. And your silence, your refusal, your unwillingness to explain, that is the boundary. That is the line they cannot cross. And once they realize you will not move, they stop testing. Not because they like you more, but because they understand that you are no longer controllable. Fifth shift. Most people think power is loud. They think dominance is aggression. They believe strength is proving you are right. But real power is quiet. Absolute dominance is refusal. Real strength is not needing to prove anything. When someone shames you and you do not react, you are not being passive. You are unreachable. And unreachable is terrifying, because it means they have no leverage. It means their tools do not work. It means you have exited the system they use to manage people, and that creates fear. Not the kind of fear that makes people hate you. The type of fear that makes people respect you. The kind that makes them think twice before testing you again. Machiavelli understood that fear is more reliable than love. Love is emotional. It fluctuates. It depends on mood, on circumstance, on whether you are still helpful. But fear is structural. It is based on understanding, on knowing that specific lines cannot be crossed, learning that certain people will not bend. You do not have to be cruel to create that. You have to be immovable. Here is another real-world example. Someone in your circle, maybe a friend, perhaps family, shames you for how you spend your time. They say you are distant. You are not present anymore. You are changing, and not for the better. And they say it in front of others. They frame it as concern. But it is control. It is a bid to pull you back into old patterns, old roles, old agreements you never actually made. Most people apologize. They soften. They explain that they are just busy, just going through something, and need space. And that explanation is the leak, because now the other person feels entitled to monitor your space, to approve or disapprove, to decide when you have had enough distance and when you need to come back. But if you understand the game, you do not explain. You say something like, "I hear you," and then you continue doing exactly what you were doing. You do not defend your distance. You do not justify your choices. You just let them sit with their discomfort. And that discomfort is the message. It says, I am not asking for permission anymore. That is the shift. You are not angry, you are not cold, you are just unavailable for negotiation, and that unavailability is what changes the dynamic. Sixth shift. Here is what happens when you stop defending yourself. People start talking about you differently. They stop trying to shame you to your face because they realize it does not work. But they do not stop judging. They do it behind your back. And that is fine. Let them. Because the moment they move their judgment behind your back, they have admitted something. They have acknowledged that you are no longer someone they can manage directly. You are no longer someone they can control with a comment, a look, or a tone. You have become expensive. Expensive to challenge. Expensive to test. Expensive to test. Expensive to shame. And expensive people are treated differently. Everyone does not like them. But they are respected by everyone because everyone understands that engaging with them costs something. Machiavelli would tell you that being liked by everyone is a sign of weakness. It means you have been shape-shifting. It means you have been performing. It means you have been managing other people's comfort at the expense of your own authority, and that is not sustainable. Eventually you become invisible, not because people hate you, but because they stop seeing you as solid. They see you as flexible, and flexible people are used, not respected. When you stop defending yourself, you become solid, you become fixed. People know where you stand because you do not move. And that clarity, that fixedness, that is what creates presence. That is what makes a room weigh, not your words, your immovability. Seventh shift. Let me tell you what most people are afraid of. They are worried that if they do not defend themselves, they will be misunderstood, and that misunderstanding will cost them relationships, opportunities, and reputation. But here is the truth. The people who matter will not misunderstand, because the people who matter are paying attention to your actions, not your explanations. They are watching how you move, how you hold yourself, how you respond to pressure. And if you are calm, if you are unbothered, if you refuse to be pulled into drama, they see strength, they see clarity, they see someone who is not performing. The people who misunderstand you are the people who were already looking for a reason to disqualify you. They were already looking for proof that you are not what you present yourself to be. And no amount of explaining will change their mind because they are not interested in the truth. They are interested in control. They are interested in keeping you inside a frame where they have authority. So let them misunderstand. Let them walk away. Let them talk, because every person who leaves because you would not bend is one less person draining your power. Machiavelli said the prince must learn to be a fox and a lion. The fox sees traps. The lion scares wolves. When someone shames you, you need both. You need to know the trap. The trap is the bid for reaction, the invitation to explain, the pull into their frame. And you need to scare the wolves. The wolves are the people testing whether you are still controllable. Your silence, your refusal, your immovability, that is what scares them. Not because you are aggressive, but because you are unreachable. Now let me show you what happens if you ignore all of this. If you keep defending yourself, if you keep explaining, if you keep trying to prove you are acceptable, you become manageable, you become someone people test regularly, because they know you will react, they know you will engage, they know you care what they think, and that care is the leash. That is what they pull when they want you to move. You lose leverage, you lose mystique, you lose the ability to set terms, because you are constantly responding to someone else's terms. You are always in their court, you are continually being evaluated, and eventually people stop seeing you as someone with authority. They see you as someone who needs approval, and people who need approval are not respected, they are tolerated. You also lose time. Every time you defend yourself, you spend energy, you spend attention, you spend emotional bandwidth, and all of that is going toward managing someone else's perception. Someone who, in most cases, does not matter. Someone who has no real impact on your life. But because you gave them your reaction, you made them matter. You gave them weight. You gave them power. And now you are exhausted. Not because life is hard, but because you are fighting battles that were never real. Here is the contrast. When you refuse to defend yourself, you create scarcity. You create scarcity. You make sense that access to you is not automatic, that your attention is not free, that your emotional energy is not available to anyone who wants to test you. And scarcity creates value. People start treating you differently, not because you are different, but because they realize you are not available for the games they play with everyone else. You become someone people think twice about before challenging, not because you are aggressive, but because they know you will not engage. And that non-engagement is more potent than any argument you could win. Machiavelli knew that the appearance of power is often more helpful than power itself. When you refuse to be shamed, you create an impression of someone who cannot be moved. And whether or not that is true in every situation does not matter. What matters is that people believe it, and they adjust. They stop testing, they stop shaming, they stop trying to reposition you, because they realize it is a waste of energy. That is the game, that is the frame, that is the shift. Here is your real-world challenge. The next time someone tries to shame you, do nothing. Do not defend. Do not explain. Do not react. Pause. Let the silence sit. Acknowledge the sound they made if you must. Then move on. Please do not give them a stage. Please do not give them your energy. Please do not give them the satisfaction of knowing they moved you. Watch what happens. Watch how the room shifts. Watch how they scramble to fill the silence. Watch how their accusation loses weight when it has nothing to land on. And watch how you feel. You'll feel exposed at first. You'll feel like you should say something. That feeling is the old wiring. Please ignore it. Let it pass. And on the other side of that discomfort is clarity and power. If this changed how you see shame, if this shifted something in you, leave a like. Please share this with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe if you want more of this. No fluff, no comfort. Just the game, clearly explained. If this hit you, write "I am the strategist" once in the comments, just to mark the day your mindset changed. You are not here to be liked. You are here to hold your ground. You are here to refuse the frames others try to trap you in. You are here to be immovable. That is not cruelty. That is clarity. That is Machiavellian realism. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. You are the strategist now. Act like it.